I hate you, you hate me. We're a angry family with a great big booty and
then you got
a
married,
kiss
huh?
from
Settled
me
down.
to you.
How you managed that anyways?
Luck, I guess.
And then you left. And the way you got out, lying to yourself that the past held no sway over the future.
People keep asking if I'm back, and I haven't really had an answer. But now, yeah, I'm thinking I'm back.
Say you hate me too.
Yeah, baby, I'm back. All right. Welcome. Ziggy1X here with another NieR reincarnation video. It's been a minute. It's been over a month. The last two videos I made were completely dunking on Sarafa and the kerfuffle that took place with the 30% karma cooldown. And, it only seemed fitting that my first video coming back would be talking about Sarafa. So, call me the official, unofficial Sarafa hate/love channel, because I kind of hate and love her, but we hate to love her, or we love to hate her, actually. Depends on where you're at, what side you're on, Team Sarafa, Team Yudil. But personally, in light of these two recent banners, I am fully Team Yudil. We're going to dive into it. We're going to talk a little bit about our Shadowbound Sarafa, who is bound by shadow and dark doubts and guilt and plagued by sin and everything else, and Divine Yudil, who is pure of heart and wishes only to woo the woman he loves and is killed for his trouble. So let's talk about this, because this banner illustrates their entire story so beautifully. And without any further ado, let's first talk about the newest, thirstiest, trappiest of all Sarafas, and that is Thirst Trap Shadowbound Sarafa. Now, it's been a minute. I'm out of practice, guys, so bear with me on this video. The intro, though, that was a lot of fun to make. So, okay, here we go. So what do we have here? We have a bit, as my friend Big Lizzie said, we have a bit of an identity crisis here. And speaking of Lizzie, he has agreed to quit playing the game if I ever pull Abyssal Sarafa. So just hope that I never pull Abyssal Sarafa, or else we're going to lose a very prominent member of the community. Anyways, so let's talk about her a little bit. She's got a little bit of an identity crisis. First of all, let's talk about her whale bonus, which is going to be her debris, and that's going to be a 20% flat multiplier on critical hit damage. This is good. This is really powerful. It's only for 60 seconds, so it's timed, but this is really powerful. And so it's comparable to any other flat multiplier. It's just coming from crit damage. Is it going to work as well in Arena? No, because most people don't build for full crit in Arena. You've also got Yudil debuffing your crit and things like that. So this isn't really an Arena debris, but it is a general game use debris, especially for a fire team, is what I could say. Like your Festive Theo, oh my gosh, she is going to love this debris. Anyways, so point being is, and not for subjugation and things like that. Again, it's timed, but under the right circumstances, it could be amazing. So it's kind of a mixed bag for me, just like the character. Now, her passives are pretty darn good. So she's got, actually, her passives are what make her. So we're going to talk about the passives first, and then we're going to talk about the character skill, which is sadly the weakest part of her kit, aside from her really low stats, her really low attack stats. Let's go ahead and talk about this. First, Tempest Swiftness. So all allies with Wind Affinity, 8% increased cooldown. We've got so much cooldown going on right now. This fits really well into an arena type setup. If you're running wind characters, you've got that extra wind cooldown from the karma, you've got it from the memoirs, you've got it from the weapons, you've got it from her passive. Your guys are going to be coming out of the gate really fast if they're equipped with wind weapons, and they're going to be doing they're going to be bringing a world of hurt. So is there a world, because of this passive alone, that I see Sarafa in a team? Maybe. Let's talk about the next one. This is what makes her. because she is the second costume in the game to bring this, the first being Summer Yuri. And this is all allies take a reduced 50% damage 5 times at the start of a wave. This does stack with Yuri. I'm just going to point that out there. If you have Yuri and if you have Sarafa, those first 5 hits coming into you are going to be doing very, 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 very little damage. Is this a way to work around snipers? I think it actually is. I think that having it has diminishing returns, so it's not 50% plus 50% equals 100%, but it is, I think it caps out right around 90% or thereabouts. It's still a big, big chunky reduction in damage. This gives you some flexibility to play with teams and also to further mitigate snipers. Now, most snipers aren't coming right out of the gate these days and murdering you wholesale like they used to. Now snipers come in the form of a little bit of speed to keep people from beating them to the punch, and then really fast cooldown, which is indicative of our Karma 3 slot now. And so this right here, these 2 passives really make her an interesting fit into a party, into an arena team. Now, that's about as far as it goes. Do you want to make a 3rd slot with Sarafa in it just for those 2 passives? I could see a world where it works. I can see some people who pull her actually making good use of this. The 3rd passive, completely negligible, 30% increased stats for wind affinity weapons for the whole party. So she's really benefiting that wind team. Let's go to her character skill. Deal 20% damage times 4. Now, yeah, no. I mean, it starts at the beginning of, it's ready to go right off the bat. It's the first skill we've ever gotten with damage right off the bat. They can't make it broken because people will just be firing off and murdering the other team right out of the gate. It wouldn't work. So is a ready from start skill ever going to do significant damage? No, it's never going to. We're probably, maybe at some points, may see a little bit more damage than this. It ain't going to be anytime soon. So the damage is negligible. Maybe it's good for chaining. Who knows? Anyway, so we got that right there. Cure 2 status ailments for each ally. Now this can be really good under certain circumstances. What am I talking about? So some things that, let's talk about Summer Yuri and let's talk about celebratory Yudil, since we are all about Sarafa and Yudil on this. But I'll bring in Yuri as an addition as well, because the things that 2 of those characters do is they increase your team's defense, but they also decrease the enemy's attack and crit rate, for example. And so if your crit rate or if your attack is being decreased, because this is only for status ailments, so it's things affecting status. That's primary stats and things associated with them. It's not going to be things like any of your special abilities that come from, say, Provoke. Summer F66X removes Provoke from a tank, but she doesn't do this. It's 2 different categories, and that's an important distinction. I can see people walking into this banner and pulling on her thinking, oh my gosh, this is like a combination between Summer Yuri and Summer F66X. It's not. It's got a little bit of Summer Yuri and really not a whole lot from Summer F66X. So don't let that confusion sink in and pull and realize that you got gypped. That's not the case here. She's going to be removing status effects. That's your attack, your defense, your agility, your crit rate, things like that, okay? That's going to be the kind of status effects that she's affecting. Now, since Celebratory Yudil does decrease your team's crit rate when he fires it off, if he's firing against you, your team's crit rate goes down. She can remove that. She can also remove the attack down. So she basically quasi-mitigates Celebratory Yudil, which is cool, okay? And people are still using Celebratory Yudil. He's very, very good. He's very relevant. But she doesn't do a whole lot more than that with her character skill. The other thing that we've got here is that she removes a single status effect from the enemy. So if they buffed their attack, if they buffed their crit rate, their agility, things like that, it will randomly select one of those abilities per character on the other team, and it will remove it. This also goes for your PvE as well. So, and I think that actually we may see content, this is just me putting my opinion hat on, but we may see content down the road where she actually does work in something like Fateboard, where you're just getting a bunch of debuffs and things like that applied to you. One of the really nasty things that the trash mobs do in Fateboard, especially the Wave 2 ones, is they'll decrease your defense by 30 to 50% per hit. They have these ginormous, monstrous hits, and one of them will hit you, it won't do that much damage, and then the next one will hit you and it'll almost kill you. And you're looking at it and you realize your defense is cut in half from the first attack. And that's something that they can stack up from themselves, so she can help mitigate that a little bit. So she has broad use. Now, she also has the benefit of being on a 100 pity banner, which is really cool. She is a standard pull unit. She will be around forever. She won't be added to the regular pull until a few months down from now. But she is here, and she is interesting. Aside from the thirsty trappiness of her, she is a very thirsty looking unit. So that's the costume. I think she has a place in Arena. I think that the creative players can actually do really good work with her. And I don't think she's going to be setting any metas, though. I think she's going to trip up a few teams. I think she may be very good on an attacking team. Maybe she'll have some use in a defense. I won't know because I'm not pulling her. And the reason why I'm not pulling her is because I got Divine Yudil and I'm waiting for Christmas. Now, her weapon is cool because it has the passives of Tempest Boon, 30% increased wind damage, and Tempest Haste, but there are plenty of other weapons in the game that do that as well. The other weapons on her banner are pretty cool. The one that the gun actually kind of stood out to me because it has pursuit by 20%, which is really uncommon. I mean, the most we usually get is 15% on a weapon. And then it's not tied to an element, it's just a generic attack up by 15%. So this weapon, even though it's a wind weapon, can work on any element. And the increased pursuit damage, the 20% versus the 15, I think offsets something you would get from an element specific weapon like a elemental boon. It doesn't fully offset it, but it's neat that it has such broad use. So this is actually a very good pickup weapon. Don't discount it if you do pick it up while you're pulling for Sarafa, or if you're just going in to pick up a new weapon. I think this is a broadly useful weapon. Really high attack and HP too. I mean, look at that attack. 3,300 is no joke. Okay, so the sword, 3,500, speaking of attack, very good. And we've also got the Tempest Haste and the Tempest Boon. Great weapon, okay? The abilities are a bit of a mixed bag. I really sometimes don't fully understand the way the abilities are lined up on these guys, but mostly I look at weapons these days for their passive abilities, because EX weapons are a thing. The costume specific weapons that we usually get for the limited costumes are usually really good, and they're usually the weapons that I find myself slotting into the primaries. So we've talked about our Shadowbound Belle. Should you pull her? I don't think she brings anything really unique to the game. I mean, she brings some unique to the game. I don't think she's going to be changing anything in the game. So if you're a big fan of Sarafa and that's the direction you're going, by all means, collect your costumes. Good on you. The developers appreciate it. But I don't think she's really bringing a ton that will change the way the game behaves. So should you pull her? I'm passing, personally. There are other people who are pulling her. It's not really for me. Let's talk about who I did pull, though, and that is going to be our Divine Boar, Yudil. Now, boy, I've got some video running in the background right now of a Fateboard match with him, and let me tell you what, running a Caged Vigor team at 1 HP in all 3 waves of a fight is so freaking cool, because what he brings to the table in his character skill, which actually has utility more than something you may or may not gimmicky use from time to time. First of all, it does a lot of damage. 250 times 4, that's no joke. 1,000% damage. Boom, right there. Nice. Increases all allies' attack by 30% for 30 seconds. Great, he's making your team do more damage. All allies enter a dauntless state. Dauntless means you are invincible. You cannot die. You can be brought down to 1 HP, but you can't die. Okay. Enter a dauntless state for 30 seconds. That is unheard of. The most we've ever seen out of dauntless is 15 seconds. This is a team-wide ability only if your affinity is dark. So he is limited to dark with his Dauntless. He can do the other stuff without being tied to dark, which is actually really cool. And a 50% gauge increase at the start. Now, you are looking at this on a screen. You'll see that he's using the Subjugation Fists. And the reason why I have him with the Subjugation Fists and the full cooldown is because that sucker gets his character skill back a lot. You are using this character skill so bloody often. And your team, whenever you choose to click on it, it is a get out of jail free card. That enemy, that boss, one of the biggest things about Fate Board that's really been a nuisance for some players kind of trying to access it, is that sometimes the enemy will drop a nuke on you that pretty much nothing you can do will save you from the nuke. You could boost up your defense, you could decrease their attack, you can mitigate damage, and it still kills you. This sucker basically stops that. Now, granted, it's only for dark, but hey, we got it, so that's great. So his character skill is absolutely busted to the moon. What else does this guy bring? Well, first let's look at his whale bonus. His agility up by 25% for 30 seconds. That's huge. Man, if you want to build a sniper, that is what you put on him, put on her, since all of our good snipers are the ladies these days. And then you build them out with some other greedier weapons that do more damage, that contribute to the damage. So that's a phenomenal debris. Is it worth pulling for to get? I mean, again, different strokes, different folks. It's not for me. Now let's talk about his passives. All allies attack up by 25%. This is not dark specific. Okay, remember, divine costumes are very, very element specific. Every one we have gotten so far has really only benefited their chosen element. This is the first divine costume that we have gotten that is broadly applicable across elements. Okay, this is a flat attack up 25%. The next thing he gets, all allies with the same affinity will get damage up by 15% on chain attacks of 4 or more. This is pretty common amongst the other divine costumes. And maybe I am confusing this with something else. So maybe this is still falling along the vein of the passives that are specific. I'll have to take a look at that later. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. Anyways, but this is where it gets more element specific now. This is primary dark only. So your Festive Noel, who is a dark primary costume, this will benefit her because it only benefits dark primary costumes. Groovy. Okay, so that means they're just doing a flat 15% more damage when they get that chain or more, 4 or more. And he's also bringing a generic agility timed up 15% for 60 seconds. Great. This makes him an excellent arena unit, but as you're watching in the video right now, and by the way, he makes your team basically invincible in arena if you play it out right. Maybe we'll dive into that a little bit later. I don't want to spill the beans too much on some very creative teams I've seen out there and that I've tried to duplicate. I don't really want to. It's not for me to share at this point until it's had a little bit of time to settle in. But anyways, this guy makes your arena teams busted. And as you're seeing here in the video, he makes your PvE team, dark team, absolutely busted to the moon. This guy is so bloody good. So let's talk a little bit about his weapon, then I'll give some recommendations. His weapon is excellent. It has a haste and it has a void boon. So increased damage, increased speed. The abilities are pretty good. 90% times 5, hit point 70% or lower, increases as you increases up to 60% as your hit points get lower and lower and lower. So this guy can sit at 1 HP very comfortably because he has his Dauntless. And he's doing up to 60% more damage in addition to that 90% times 5. Excellent. Still, is it better than 063Y's EX weapon? No, that one is still the king of the crop. Anyways, 45% times 4 increases your attack by 30%. This is more of a sub weapon, okay? Just because 063Y's EX weapon exists, it trumps this because of its ability to. It's basically 1,000% damage multiplier on an ability, which is insane. We were just talking about how good 1,000% multiplier was on a character skill. Mocha Joe's EX weapon has it on an ability, so it's an excellent weapon. You just have to be below a 15% threshold. This guy allows you to do that. This guy enables so many cool things. So should you pull on Divine Boar, on Divine Yudil? Yes, you should. I think you absolutely should pick up at least one copy of him. The pity's at 150. This is an incredibly impactful unit. And what I've noticed as a pattern for the divine units is we haven't gotten any returns on them yet. They are all excellent for their elements. I did pull on Divine Yuri, obviously, because it's Yuri. She's excellent. But this guy's better. I hate to say it, but this guy's better. So what I'm thinking moving forward, we're going to be getting 2 more Divine costumes. And we're going to be getting a Light and a Wind. So should we pull on those? Should we kind of prioritize those? Maybe we should, because these Divine costumes are really something special. They are very, very good costumes. And should you pull on this guy? Yes, you really should pull on this guy. He is that good. I would say that he may even be worth risking missing out a little bit on the upcoming Christmas banners, because those are always busted. And I would recommend that if you have not invested a little bit into this guy, that you hold off until Christmas. There's probably going to be a few more things coming between now and then. They're going to be really tempting. But Christmas is usually when the power creep is kind of pushed to a new limit. And that's what happened last Christmas. That's probably what will happen this Christmas as well. And then we've got Anniversary a few months after that. So this has been my review of both our Shadowbound Belle, our Shadowbound Sarafa, that awful, awful woman who torments people for fun, and our Divine Yudil, the man of the hour. He's the pick of the 2 of them, and he's the one that's going to bring you a whole lot more utility in your matches, in your game across the board. This was fun, a little bit of coming back. I've just been so doggone busy. I kid you not, I have been doing, 60 to 70 hours per week for probably the last 2 months. And I just had to basically take a step back from this and just say, I've got to take a little break. This is a little time consuming, and I just need to focus on my work. I need to do things with the family whenever I'm around. And it's just, I gotta manage my time. So am I going to be making videos as frequently moving forward? Probably not. I will make them when I feel like it. Farplane has, by the way, if you have not subscribed to him, go subscribe to him. He just passed 1,000 subscribers. He just made partner with YouTube. Congratulations, by the way, man, from me to you. And he does the day-to-day really well. He picks up all the banners. He does all the reviews. He gives his breakdown on thoughts. He does playthroughs on things. He's really taken the mantle. He really is the guy. He is the man who's taken over the NieR reincarnation community, and I appreciate that because it's taken a little bit of pressure off of me. And I'll just chime in when I want to. I'm the obnoxious clown guy who comes in and makes a meme video at the beginning and then walks away and leaves the room. So that's probably going to be more my MO moving forward. I'll chime in when I feel like I want to, maybe when it's needed, things like that. And probably for events and big things like that. But I'm still playing. I'm playing a lot. I just am not making videos right now because it's so time consuming and my schedule is just not permitting it right now. So now that I'm almost done with my lunch break, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. Peace out, y'all. I hope you are healthy. I hope you are healthy and happy and everything is going well for you. And I will see you next time in the cage. Bye.